Welcome to an unexpected Miss USA 2023 recap. I'm Dani, welcome to the channel. Thanks for clicking this episode. If you like it, I hope that you'll choose to subscribe and also join membership so you can get access to extended episodes. The reason this episode is unexpected is because it was announced that Miss USA would not be streaming the preliminary competition. Terrifying, but fortunately enough people commented on their social media, and on short notice we got an announcement that it would be streamed on their YouTube channel. So here we are. I'm going to speak briefly on the opening of the show and overall thoughts. I thought that the production was pretty consistent in what we've seen in previous editions. There wasn't anything new. The staging almost seemed like what we've had in the past two editions of Miss USA. One thing that struck me about stage production is that Morgan, our reigning Miss USA, and Jordan from the TV show The Bachelor were sitting at a table at the top of the show. Typically, hosts usually walk in from a side entrance. I'm personally a big fan of the walk-in. Also, it's a really great time to showcase a designer evening gown and promote a sponsor. I think that right there is a missed opportunity. So that's something I would prefer to see in the future. Shortly after their intro, we saw a little video clip from Layla Rose, the new owner of Miss USA, and she just gave a message essentially about change and changes within the organization. She didn't really talk about specifics, but kind of like the possibility of good things that come from change. I thought it was nice to see her at the beginning of the preliminary competition to help people get to know her a little bit. But if I were her, that's the last you would see of me in this show, and I would make the pageant all about the contestants. If you think about most national pageants in the Miss Universe organization, you don't see long clips of the directors or the owners, or they don't get a lot of stage time. Usually they're just sitting in the front row, and I love that. I love when the show is just about the contestants. Let me know if you caught this too, but the swimsuit sponsor this year is also the swimsuit sponsor from Miss Universe 2020, and I loved those swimsuits. I thought they were so cute. I am seriously so jealous because I did not like either of the swimsuits that I had at Miss USA. I literally was given the bottom of the barrel. So were so many of us, and it's no wonder why most of the contestants that placed my year at Miss USA that they had those plain swimsuits, which still weren't that great, but those ladies fitted earlier within the day, and then the rest of us just kind of got what was left over, and we were just all over the place. It was not a great year for wardrobe our year. Since we're getting a top 20 this year, I'm going to share my favorite top 20 performances in swim and then also my favorite top 20 in gown. They pretty much overlap, but there are some differences in the selections. So let me know what your thoughts are as well, and let's always be encouraging of the contestants. Florida looked really good, but there was something about this performance that was reminding me a little bit of Madison Anderson, I think, within her styling. I don't know if you saw that. Let me know if you did. But I love the energy that she brought for swim. This is exactly what I was expecting from her. North Carolina had a really good opening swim, hair flip, spin turn. Love that. I think that she's bouncing a little bit too much in this walk for me personally, and I didn't see as much of this bounce for her state competition. So I really hope she pulls that back because she is such a beautiful contestant. So I still have hopes that she can get into that top 20. Nevada is really pretty, big fan favorite. I feel like people tend to overlook blondes. We just don't get that many blonde Miss USAs anymore, but she is really beautiful. I just wish she would have held her pose at the end a little bit longer. Maryland, she had quite a sexy walk here. I feel like she's this year's Kyra McCullough. She has a very similar look. She's so beautiful. I just wish she would have lifted her head up a little bit more for swim. Wisconsin is just stunning as well. Oh my gosh, great hair flip. So much confidence coming from her. She had such a solid routine, and what I liked is she was still at ease, and she was never pushing it. She was never trying too hard. She was never overworking it. She was just being herself, and I love that. I want to see that for finals because I definitely think she's advancing. Iowa is a really pretty contestant. She's also very photogenic. I was on the edge about her for my pre-preliminary picks, but I think that she came through for this swimsuit performance. Hawaii, strong entrance, great eye contact. I believe that out of this group of contestants at prelims that she had the best eye contact with the camera. Absolutely loved her. She's stunning always, but I like how she's making the most of her time on stage. She's making sure she gets her time and her poses. I love her. Illinois is giving me Trump era. She's very tall. A lot of people have been talking about her and saying she's flown under the radar. I totally agree. I didn't know much about her until I got to see this performance. Really, really impressed by this. Absolutely loved it. She's so tall and statuesque on stage. I can easily see her placing and moving on to a semifinal. Massachusetts. Okay, hair flip. All right. I loved the entrance. Her hair is so beautiful, by the way. Oh my gosh, so full, bouncing. Totally goals. She's really beautiful. She was on my edge before preliminaries. I just didn't know what to expect from her, but I'm loving this. What a fantastic performance. I think she'll surprise people, and fingers crossed she does. Kentucky, I have to say, it is her smile that makes her so likable. She has a good performance here, good energy, but there's something about that smirk that's a little special. California was very confident. I expect this. She's a professional model. I think she's working her facials. I just wish she held out her pose a little bit more at the end of the runway. New York, very excited for her. I was really concerned about her walking in that straight line, and that was corrected for Miss USA. Like, what better time to have that correction? So she looked fantastic. I thought that this was the strongest swimsuit performance I've ever seen from her. Rhode Island, oh my gosh, she is fabulous. So I love that she's really bringing this fierce energy. She's changing up her facials. She has her own unique style. I just love her. I think she's fun. I feel like when I see her on stage, she's not trying to be somebody else. She's being her authentic self, and I love it. Virginia. Wow. Okay. I had a feeling I would love her for prelims. Okay. So I can see her in Utah up there in a top 2 holding hands. All right. Virginia is just so stunning and has such a confidence about her. I don't know how she does on stage speaking, so we'll learn about that. I hope we will, because right now, for me, she's in one of my top 5 performances for swim. Colorado is really pretty. I talked about her in my other episode, breaking down my favorite headshot images of the contestants, and her beauty is translating on stage. She did an excellent job here. Loved this performance. Pennsylvania, my gosh. Wow. Her look, her styling for this, she looked gorgeous. She did not seem rushed, but she still brought great energy and more so confidence. This was one of my favorite performances. I would say one of my top 5 performances for swim. Utah, what did I tell you? Okay, I love that now people are noticing her, because I just felt like, yes, people notice her, but not enough in comparison to other contestants. I feel like some other contestants were a lot more hyped than she is, and people just weren't as aware of her until I did my pre-preliminary pick. She showed everyone here. It was just so fantastic, and all those years where she didn't win, they all led up to this. And that walking practice with Giselle from Venezuela, okay, it paid off. She had intricacies in her routine, and they were done quickly. They were well timed. They didn't waste too much time on stage. It made her routine interesting, dynamic, and different from all the rest. I absolutely loved it. She's definitely in my top 5 performances for swim. Probably my number 1. Michigan had a great spin turn, great energy, great posing, facials, all of it. I think she's fantastic. She deserves, in my opinion, a spot in the top 20. South Carolina, gosh, her eyes are so piercing even on stage. And I have to say, I love her hair. It's super bouncy. It looks so beautiful. She is a pageant veteran. She was first runner at Miss Teen USA. She's somebody to watch out for. I have a good feeling about her. I can easily see her in that top 20. Texas is gorgeous, and oh my gosh, she is so fit, which is honestly my overall note for the contestants. This year's class blew me away, I will say, specifically for swimsuit. It's pretty rare, but I felt like their swimsuit competition as a class was stronger than their evening gown performances as a class, and that's not a good or a bad thing. It's just what I feel it is, but these ladies were exemplary, so much so that it was very difficult for me to narrow down to the top 20 for the swimsuit competition, because I don't feel like anybody did a bad job. And when everybody's like really neck and neck with each other, it makes it so hard to narrow down your favorites. But anyways, Texas, stunning, loved her, super, super fit, confident. I would love to see her advance. Let's move on to evening gown in no particular order. Ohio. Okay, hear me out. I know that this gown is probably quite hit or miss for a lot of people. I get that because of the neckline, but I feel like right now we're seeing a lot of gowns like that on celebrities as well. We're seeing these huge details around the neck, and I love it. Of course, what makes it a little bit more pageanty is just that sheerness to it, the beading pattern. Okay, I like that she wore the hair up. It made a lot of sense. I don't understand the blue earrings. Maybe it matches her eyes, I'm not sure, but I just loved it. Okay, I thought it was fun and fabulous. What did you think about it? Colorado, I love. Still think she's so stunning. Great performance. I don't think that was the right gown choice for her though. It seemed like a few different gown styles kind of mixed together. I wanted to see her in something different, something more cohesive. Illinois went with orange. This is interesting. She also wore an orange interview dress. I don't know who is suggesting the orange for her, but I don't think it's bad, but I don't feel like it's her color. I don't feel like it's doing her any favors. I bet it was beautiful under the lights. It looked great. Now the silhouette of the dress was lovely. It's sheer, it's rhinestone. She looked beautiful, frankly, honestly on stage, and I really do hope to see her advance, but I just don't feel like the gown was doing anything for her to make everybody go like, wow. But also I know it looks different in person under lights, so I could be very wrong about all of this. Virginia I'm so torn about because I love her so much. She was in my top 5 even before preliminaries. I think she is performing so well on stage. I don't know how judges are going to feel about the evening gown. I don't know if they're going to be okay with it and how much it could possibly affect her performance. It's not bad on her, like in the shape or anything like that. It just feels like it just doesn't feel like the right time for it. It feels like such a springtime dress. And as you see, these multicolored gowns and pageants, they usually don't do very well. They don't score very well. It's just harder to stand out in one of them. So I'm really curious what's going to happen to her placement with this dress, but it would be something else to see it in a top 5. California, oh my goodness, the evening gown she wore, I tried it on. It was one of the ones I almost wore to Miss Universe, but I could not fill out the bust, so that did not work out for me, but she looked fantastic in it. Really, really love her eye contact and how expressive she is with her eyes. She didn't overshoot it for this performance. Great job. Kentucky wore a unique gown. It had a little cutout on the side. Okay, we're seeing those cutouts are quite popular. She looked beautiful. The gown did not overwhelm her. She was just beautiful on stage, although I do wish she would have given me some sort of a sexier facial look at some point on stage. That could be a change for finals if she qualifies and moves forward. Iowa was like a shock to me. Oh my goodness. So I love this change up in her styling. I love that it was so surprising. I know I don't really love green gowns, okay, but this shade of green on her looked fantastic and the styling was lovely. She just looked so fresh. It was just something so different in comparison to the other contestants, and honestly, she was just giving me celebrity vibes with the styling of this look. Marilyn. So I love Marilyn, okay? And I'm still putting her in my top 20 because I still have hope, because interview is 50% of the score. She's a very, very sweet contestant. So with this performance, I wish she just would not have overworked the capes behind her. I don't think that she needed that, but aside from that, she's really, really beautiful. So I would just hope for finals that she would make that adjustment. There's 2 contestants this year that wore gowns that in their coloring was quite similar to Demi Lee's farewell gown at Miss Universe, and that was so interesting to me. And one of those contestants was Georgia. Georgia comes from a competitive state. I love her. I really think that she is unique and dynamic because she's a full-time content creator since the time that she was 16 years old. Talked about this before. I think that could be a great asset. I think she did really, really well here, but I think she will have to give more for finals if she wants to advance into a top 5. Rhode Island, oh my gosh, she just looked like a sexy celebrity. Okay, so the front of the dress, very sexy, but the back too, oh my gosh, loved the low dropped back. And the color of it was very unique. I can't even tell you what color it was. It was like a dark, is it a very dark maroon mesh or brown? I can't even tell you. I don't even know because it probably looked different under the lights, but I loved it. She was glistening. She was working the dress. She was confident. She was doing it for me. So, I mean, I can see her in a top 5. South Carolina was so elegant, and so I loved that this gown felt like her, because if you look at her Teen USA dress, right? So we see a lot of these like big, feminine, flowing, ruffled details and structure to the pieces that she likes to wear. So this gown for me felt quite true to who she is and her personal sense of style. So I really like that. But she looked very, very beautiful in it. I have such high hopes for her in this competition. Massachusetts, I am really, really loving. I just love a contestant that brings something that is a little bit more unique, like something I just wouldn't expect. And she did that for me. I love the dress. I love the styling. I would love her as a surprise in a top 5. Michigan. So this gown is like the combination between Puerto Rico's gown this year at Miss Universe and then also Baguio's gown from Miss Universe Philippines that Ryan Fernandez designed. Really, really beautiful style, loving it. I think it was smart to have her hair pulled back because the neck of this particular gown was quite high. I think that she can, though, for finals if she wants to, bring it all down and it would look very similar, almost identical to Ashley's look, but I think it still might be a better look for finals. I'm not sure. I love her in the gown. She's just surprising me left and right. Utah. So when she first came out and she had the cape, I was like, okay, love the dress. It's yellow, it's bright, it's unique. We haven't really seen somebody do something like yellow unexpected. I would say since Nia Sanchez, like that was for her, it's like, oh, I didn't expect her to wear yellow. And I feel like yellow for Utah isn't like what you would expect to see her in. So I really, really liked it, but I was so glad when the cape came off because the gown got even better. That neckline, everything. She was just working it and owning it. It felt like this was her night. It felt like it was her moment. She is 100% in my top 5. I can see her winning this year. The only thing that's going to stop that would be an unfortunate onstage answer, but time will tell. Wisconsin. Love the hair, love the gown on her. The gown was quite unique. I'm curious, which actually just makes me think, is anybody gonna change their gown for finals? Oh my gosh, that would be exciting. I kind of hope some of them do. That would be really fun. I hope Virginia changes hers before. But Wisconsin, oh gosh, the hair was fantastic. It was perfect. The gown was not what we typically see at Miss USA. She's just stunning. She works every piece that she's in. I love her. I definitely want to see her in the top 20. I could even see her in a 5. North Carolina's gown reminded me so much of the gown that Texas won her state pageant in. That was really interesting. It's a stunning gown, but I think there was a little bit too much bounce to the walk. I want her just to smooth it out. That's what she needs. But interview, 50%. I really, really still like her going into that top 20. I hope she makes that cut. Hawaii is the second contestant that wore a gown with similar coloring to Demi Lee's farewell gown. Very interesting. So it was unique. Now this, I'm sure it looked good under the lights, but I don't feel like the colors of this gown were doing her any favors. I would much rather see her in a different evening gown for finals, although I don't feel like it's like a terrible choice. But what I care about is her performance, and the performance is in my top 5. So I loved it. I love her eye contact with the camera. She's like the queen of eye contact this year. I'm obsessed. Nevada wore a very unique, interesting, sexy gown. All right, loved it. I was just obsessed with the style. Whoever made this did such a good job with how sheer it was. I will say she did wear another black and sheer gown when she was competing in Louisiana that I loved on her, so maybe that was her idea. Like, I liked it then, but I want something a little bit different. She looked fantastic. She was a standout to me. Texas. This gown reminds me of something we would actually see at Miss Universe. I could definitely see a dress like this on that stage. She looks stunning in it. Gosh, I wish I could have been there. I wish I could have seen it under the lights. I bet this gown looked amazing. I just wish she would have slowed down a little bit. That's what she needs for finals, because she's another contestant that I'm rooting for. I would love to see her in a top 5 fighting for that back-to-back. Pennsylvania. Oh my gosh, yes. So I've talked about this in other episodes, but I love that we get to see such different evening gown styles, or I should say I love when we do get to see that. So I like that she was the contestant that came in with like flowing chiffon. Oh my gosh, she wasn't covered in rhinestones, but it was still such a beautiful gown. I just love the way that the fabric sort of swirled around the bodice. It was beautiful. It was perfect with her hair. I loved it. She has the confidence for it. I would love to see Pennsylvania in a top 5. If you want even more insights about the contestants, check out these other episodes up here. But I'm so grateful that you joined me for this episode. Please let me know what episode you want to see on the channel next. I am listening and I try my best to create all the episodes that you want to see on the channel. So thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I hope you've already subscribed and that you'll come back for the next one.